welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel and I make videos about books. Towards the beginning of this year, I made a video about all of the books on my physical shelves that I have not read, my physical TBR, and there was a lot. I'm talking like 170 a lot. So I put myself on like a book buying ban, not an official one. It wasn't like signed off. I didn't like make a blood oath for this said book buying ban, but it was kind of an unspoken agreement with myself and my physical TBR that I would not be buying books. And then I was PMSing and depressed and anxious and not having a good time like last week. So I made my way into some bookstores and this happened. This entire front part of the shelf was bought in the past week, 2 weeks, a very short amount of time. And now they're on my shelves. So we're gonna go through them. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. I got most of these books. I got them from either Amazon, Goodwill, Target, or Barnes & Noble. So yes, we're just gonna go through them and I'll tell you guys what I bought. I'm gonna move them out from over here because you probably already got a sneak peek at some of these and I don't want that. I want it to be a surprise even though it's not because you just saw it. Anyway, now I'm just rambling while I move these, so I'm gonna shut up and just cut this clip. Okay, what's gonna be interesting is I wonder if this is more or less than the books that I have already read this year, because so far in January and February, I read like all old books, like books that were on my shelf for the most part, except for like my monthly Agatha Christie that I need to buy, but for the most part, all on my shelves. So I won't feel as bad about myself if this is less than what I have read. No particular order. Let's begin. So first, this is what really launched my book buying experience. This book, The Wall. So this is called The Wall, and I got it because I really liked the cover and this cool little mountain scenery on the back just grabbed my attention. I had never heard of this, and I got this from this little cute bookstore slash restaurant cafe place in DC that I like to go to. They always have interesting books like this that I have never heard of but I know are gonna be good. So I really like that place, and so I bought this while we were there, and that kind of ended my book buying ban and started this spiral. So this book is actually a classic. It was written in, I think, like the 1950s, and this is just a republished version of it with a cute, cool cover. And it sounded interesting. It's basically this woman is in the Austrian countryside and then suddenly a wall is erected around her and she can't escape, and she's there with like a cat, a cow, and herself and her thoughts. So very interesting premise. Yeah, I'm like, did The Simpsons get the idea for the Simpsons movie from this book? Maybe. Who's to say? I'm actually very excited about this, and it goes with my challenge that I want to do of reading a book from every country, like a translated book, and this is from Austria, so it's a good purchase. Then, I got this book from Barnes and Noble, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Basically, when I went on my little buying spree, then I was like, okay, I need to spend the rest of my Christmas money because I had like $100 just sitting in a jar that I hadn't spent because I wasn't in a spendy mood, I guess, around Christmas. But I was like, okay, if there's ever a time to spend, it's now. Let's continue. And so I went to Barnes and Noble with the intention to get books that I have had my eye on for a while, like special editions, but I haven't bought because they're like special editions and I know I'm not going to read them like super soon. So I was like, let's make some, you know, rash kind of purchases, you know? So this book, for instance, it's a classic, Tree Grows in Brooklyn, like we've all heard of it. And this is a cute little 75th anniversary edition. And I saw this a while back and I was like, that's such a cute little cover. I want it. And so I got it now. I don't know what this classic is about at all, but it takes place in Brooklyn, New York. I love books that take place in New York, so that. I feel like it'll have some good insight into like gentrification. I think that's mainly what this kind of focuses on. I don't know. You'll see that I don't know what some of these books are, but now they're just like in my possession. A book that I do now is this. I also got this at the same Barnes & Noble haul, Dark Archives. This is a nonfiction, so yeah, who would have thought? I'm picking up nonfiction, but this sounded very interesting. It's basically this librarian. She went and compiled a bunch of research about books that have been made from human skin. Yeah. And she, I guess, compiled a bunch of research and put it in this book, and now I'm going to read it. So I've literally only heard one person talk about this, but they sold me and it sounded like an interesting read, and I usually am not interested by nonfiction, so I said, let's jump on this, and now I own it. Then, oh, this is a series of books that I got online because for some reason this is a childhood series, a children's series that I read as a kid. The Penderwicks. Do you guys remember this? I feel like for some reason I have seen these books all over recently. Like I randomly like saw it on Goodreads, and then it got brought up in like a TikTok that my boyfriend was watching, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've read those. And then I saw some YouTuber or something, or like an ad popped up for them. There's been a lot of Penderwick references, and I was like, I want those books on my shelf. And then I looked it up, and it might be because they're redoing the covers or they've already redone them, but basically it's very hard to find these original covers that I think are so gorgeous. I like love this. This is such a little piece of nostalgia for me. Like, and it's gorgeous. Like that's a stunning little cover. But for some reason the author is replacing the covers with this really ugly cover that I'll put in right here. And so I was like, okay, I need to get these before they're completely out of stock everywhere and I can't find them. I still can't find the Penderwicks on Gardam Street, which is the second in the series, but I found the Penderwicks. And then I don't know what goes next. The Penderwicks in Spring, and then the Penderwicks at Point Moet. I think I've only read the Penderwicks on Gardam Street and the Penderwicks, the first one. So yeah, I'm planning on rereading it as an adult, which should be fun, and kind of seeing my thoughts on it. Now, if you know where to get the Penderwicks on Gardam Street in the original edition, please let me know, because I don't know where. I ordered it on like Thrift Books and they sent me it without the dust jacket, and I was like, that was the whole reason why I was buying this cover, but okay. Then next I went to Goodwill and I got 2 books. Again, I don't know why I keep picking up just books that I loved in my childhood. Maybe I'll make a video of like reading books from my childhood. I don't know, that could be fun. But I got this because it was $1 at Goodwill, and I was like, nostalgia. A Wrinkle in Time. You guys remember this? I don't even remember what this is about, but I remember I really liked this series, so there we have that. What a gorgeous little cover too. And I got this, Cain's Jawbone. This is like a puzzle more so than a book, but it's funny because the day before when I got this from the cool little bookstore, then my boyfriend was looking at this one because he was like, oh, I've heard of this puzzle book. If you don't know, it's like a book, a mystery book that's out of order, and then you have to arrange the pages in the correct order. And it's nearly impossible. Like 2 people in the whole world have solved it. So like obviously I'm not gonna solve it. Like I don't think so. But I don't know, my boyfriend was looking at it and it was at Goodwill for $1 and it's in perfect shape. It has like 1 page of notes. Like whoever owned this before obviously like looked at the first page, made some notes, and then was like, no, this is impossible. So like the form to send it in, send your answers in, is still in there and everything. So I was like, for $1, why not? And you know, maybe we can be the slim 1% that solves it, but I don't think so. I have another series. So for Valentine's Day, my boyfriend got me this. Ice Planet Barbarians. He really likes Avatar, and he saw this on his TikTok and thought, that's funny, Ariel likes spicy books, let me get that for her. So thank you. Now I have a book about giant aliens being intimate with humans on a ice planet, and it's really good. I have read this now and I was like, I actually weirdly like this, and I like the world and the characters, and I want to know what happens. And so I bought the next book in the series and I read this and I liked it even more. I love Liz and Rahush and their relationship. I love them. And was having a very good time with this series. So I bought another, and I bought the next 2 in this special edition series. I think this one might be next, Barbarian Lover, and then Barbarian Mine. And this really awoke my era of like sci-fi fantasy smut books, and tell me why they're so much better than like human romance books. Like something about the fantasy like adds that level of stakes that you don't get with normal normal romance, and it makes it that much better and much more like interesting and engaging to read. I'm obsessed. So I have all of these, and yeah, I'm planning to get to these sometime soon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They're such a good brainless read that keeps you hooked the whole way through. Then I got this. So Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher's co-written book, Never Never. And I got this because I was filming a Colleen Hoover giving her like a second chance kind of video for Verity and Reminders of Him. And I realized that I like Colleen Hoover's thriller writing, but I don't really like her romance. And so I said in the video, I was like, you know, if she releases another thriller kind of book, then maybe I'll buy that. And then what do I see? Oh, she is releasing this book. I guess it was already released, but then now it's in like a actual published binded copy because it's like 3 novels in one, 3 novellas put in one. Anyway, I basically saw it and I read the premise and I was like, this is a kind of interesting thrillery kind of story. And so I bought it. So I'm in my Colleen Hoover era, unfortunately, but only thriller. But yeah, this book sounded actually very interesting. It's like these 2, Charlize and Silas. I don't know why Colleen picks the most like cringy, weird out there names. I don't like either of those names. Anyways, these 2 have been friends and then they were in love and then suddenly they are complete strangers and they don't remember anything, and then they have to kind of uncover the truth. So it sounds like a very interesting premise and I'm unfortunately excited to read it. Next we have another series that I started, Katie Roberts, another fantasy smut series. This is The Demon Sacrifice, a Deal with a Demon novel. And this came about, I was surfing on Kindle Unlimited for a fantasy smut series that grabbed my attention, and this yanked at said attention. So I started reading it, and then I was like, this is kind of good, and I like the covers, so I'm gonna buy it in the hardcover, the hard copy. And so yeah, we have The Dragon's Bride and The Kraken's Sacrifice. These are the first 2 in the series, and basically, yeah, they make a deal with the devil to get out of whatever bad situation they're in on Earth, and in exchange they basically get sold off to a monster, so a kraken or a dragon, and they have to spend 7 years with them and basically like pump out babies. They don't like have to pump out the babies, like the devil is actually very nice to them and is like, they will treat you with respect, but like if you could give them babies, that would really help our world. Anyway, so those are the Deal with the Demon series that I bought. But I do love Katie Roberts. She's like, I feel like one of my favorite smut authors. And so I had to buy her new book in the Olympus series, Radiant Sin. I honestly kind of, towards the 3rd book in this series, I was kind of stalling and like wasn't as into it, but I feel like I've taken a break now and have stepped back from it, and now I am very excited to read the 4th in the series. So this follows Apollo and Cassandra, and yeah, it's a good time, I'm sure. I haven't read this yet, but it's in my possession now. I am planning on reading David Copperfield in the next upcoming months, and I saw on Amazon this and I was like, what perfect timing. It's a retelling of David Copperfield set in the Appalachian Mountains, and it's following this guy named Demon Copperhead. So you see the reference. And so This is new, but it seems to be getting a lot of hype already. It's in Oprah's book club, so I feel like it's going to be good. And I love a retelling of a classic. I love reading the classic and then reading the retelling, or the other way around. And so when I saw there was a retelling for the classic I'm about to read, it was fate. I needed it. Then this was another, I have two other special edition kind of books for classics that I also bought on my trip to Barnes & Noble. So this copy I have been looking at for literal months because I love it. So this is Mrs. Dalloway, and The Hours by Michael Cunningham. I've never heard of this, but I guess it's like a movie and Meryl Streep is in it, so it must be a successful book. And I think the characters in this like are Virginia Woolf and other prominent writers of that time. I didn't really look honestly that much at what The Hours is, but I just got this copy because it was gorgeous and because it has Mrs. Dalloway in it. So basically the book, like you can see this side is for Mrs. Dalloway, and then it ends and it starts The Hours. So you like flip it around and then you have a whole other book to read. So it's like a 2-in-1 sort of thing. And I just got it because I've been wanting to read Mrs. Dalloway. I have the cloth-bound classic version of Mrs. Dalloway, but I don't read from those. I just bought it as like my first cloth-bound classic when I was like, this is a cute book. But I don't have any intention on reading from that, so I have this now so that I can actually read it, because all the other books that are cloth-bound classics on my shelf I have read, so I just don't want to be a fake and have like cloth-bound classics that I don't actually read. Then the last book that I got on that Barnes & Noble run was the Master Margarita. I have absolutely no intention on reading this anytime soon. I'm not a huge like Russian literature person, and I've heard that this book is kind of confusing and hard to read, but look at this stunning Penguin Deluxe edition. Like, are you kidding me? It's gorgeous. This is the 50th anniversary edition and I love it. It's so pretty. I think it might be my favorite book that I own outside of like cloth-bound classics and those special editions. But yeah, I love the the look of this. And yeah, I've had it in my mind to buy for a while, so had to jump on it. Then I have Lost Children Archive. Sneak peek, this is a book in White Lotus that Aubrey Plaza's character reads, and I basically paused the show as I was watching it because I saw her with a book in her hand, and I got really close to the TV and I looked at it and I was like trying to read what it was, and then I eventually read it and I was like, Lost Children Archive, let's look that up. And I looked it up and it was the correct book and I felt really proud of myself. And then I was like, you literally could have just typed into Google what books are seen on White Lotus season 2 and it would have told you that, but you instead strained your eyes to see this 1-second clip of her holding it like that. But I'm actually excited about this because the author that wrote this also wrote Tell Me How This Ends or something. Let me go. Tell Me How It Ends, which is a series of essays, and I read this a long time ago, but I very much liked it. It was like basically about questioning children at the border, like immigration, questioning them, and it was very interesting and like sad, and a book that makes you think. So I then was very excited to see that this was written by her, and so I got it for a little video about White Lotus books in season 2. So another book for that video is Braiding Sweetgrass. This is a non-fiction, like, botany book. Again, Aubrey Plaza's character had this, so that's why I got it. And yeah, I've seen this around actually quite a bit, just like at bookstores. I feel like this is always like a featured book, and it's, I guess, about like indigenous plants and healing and the knowledge from them. Then we have a book that came out late February that was on my list to get, and then I was not planning on getting it this soon because I'm definitely not going to read it in the upcoming months. But then my book buying spree happened and I got it. Immortality, a love story. And this is the follow-up to the Anatomy series, and the covers of these are gorgeous. The other one has like a anatomically correct heart as her dress, and then this has a brain, and I just think they're gorgeous for covers. But the ending of the first one was very abrupt and honestly made me mad, and I was like, I was just getting into this story, and then you just cut it off. And then I found out that it's a duology and the second one was coming out, so I had to get it because towards the end of the first one, that was like really when I was into it. So I'm guessing I'm going to like this one a lot more than the first one. Then I guess I also got, okay, I took 2 Barnes & Noble trips. Now I'm realizing that is something I did. I took 2. So in the second one, it was just a free-for-all. I didn't have an intention to buy certain books like the first time. And I was at the thriller section, and I feel like I haven't been very inspired to read thrillers, but I read the guest list recently, and I read it in like one day. It ignited my need to read thrillers, and I have a bunch on my shelf, but I needed to add one more, so I did, and that is The Chain. And this book I have heard about for a while, seen it, and then I saw it at Barnes & Noble, and it said it won some prize for like the best thriller novel of the year, and I was like, okay, I really need it then. But the premise of this has always been very interesting to me. So basically there's this chain of kidnappings because a kid is taken, and then the kidnapper is like, hey mom, you can get your kid back if you go steal another kid for me, and then I'll give you your kid back. So then the mothers obviously are like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go steal another kid because I care more about my kid than this random other kid. I'm gonna feel bad about it for the rest of my life, but what you gonna do? So yeah, this happens to, I guess, the main character of this book, and she has to, I guess, end the chain. Then while I was there, I also got The People in the Trees. This is Hanya Yanagihara's earlier works. She wrote A Little Life, obviously, and I think this was a book she published before A Little Life. I'm not sure, but I got it because I am terrified to read A Little Life, and I really don't want to, but it's everywhere and everybody talks about it in my personal life and online, and so I just feel this like crushing urge to read that book, but I am terrified and really don't want to. So I figured I get a different book by her, one that doesn't sound so trauma infused, and I read that. I see if I like her writing. If I'm like absolutely obsessed with her, then cool, I continue on and I get over my fear and I read A Little Life. But if I don't like her writing, then I just go, I don't know what you guys are talking about, it's not good. And then I don't have to read A Little Life. So I think it's very good logic, and that's my explanation for buying this. Also, this story just sounds very interesting. In the 1950s, then a young doctor goes over to a Micronesian island and to like research about this native tribe that has discovered this like immortality potion or whatever that stops their body from aging, but their mind keeps aging. And yeah, I don't know, that sounds like an interesting premise. Then I got from Target this book. This is another nonfiction. Look at her go. Cass. I've seen this book at Target like every time I go in there, and the cover has spoken to me. I love a good like simple cover every now and then. And it's basically about how America is shaped by a hidden caste system and how that has influenced everything, and that's a concept that I am very interested in, and this is written by a journalist, so I feel like it'll have some really good insight and facts. So that is that. I'm actually excited about the nonfiction books I've gotten. So out of all the books in this haul, those are probably going to be some of the books that I read next, because I have, you know, my TBR for the upcoming month picked out for fiction books, but I obviously don't have any nonfiction, so I can just throw one of those onto the list. Then I have, this is another book that I got from Target, and I got it on a trip that was not dedicated to buying books, but I was waiting in line and I saw this book displayed and I was like, ah, I need it. As Good as Dead. This is the third book in the How to Get Away with Murder. Wait. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. How to Get Away with Murder is a literal TV show. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is the third book, and I have only read the first book, and I own the second book, but the third book wasn't out in paperback, and I bought the first two in paperback, and I have this weird thing with series where they all have to be in the same format. So I screwed myself over there and I had to wait until this came out in paperback, but now it's out and I'm like, okay, now I can finish the series, because I didn't want to read the second book and then have to wait for this and then forget everything from the first and second book. So now I can just read the second and third in a row. Then I got this. What is this, you ask? Another collection of Jane Austen's writings. And if you, I don't know if this will come out before or after, probably after my video about my classics collection. I have numerous editions of all of Jane Austen's works because I love her. I feel like we are connected in some weird way. Some would say she is my soul sister, some being me. I love her so much and I love her work, and I'm making my way through all of her books this year, and I realized I kind of want just a copy that I can absolutely tear up. So I got these, which are the Wordsworth editions, and they're very cheap. This whole set was like $25 or even less than that, so they're super cheap. And I was like, I can tear these up and have no remorse about it. I guess I'll show you their covers. I also thought the covers are very cute. Persuasion. They're just like very romantic covers, you know? Like we have Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility, which is the one I am reading in March. Northanger Abbey, Emma. Love Mansfield Park. This one I think is my favorite of the covers. I just like the colors. And then Pride and Prejudice. So yeah, I'm excited to destroy these books. And these editions are cool because they have like little pictures in there. I actually read Emma for the first time through one of these, and then I got rid of it because I was like, well, now I have a special edition, so I don't need that old one. But obviously I do, because I'm not going to actually read from the special editions. Anyway, that's how my chaotic brain works. But yeah, the little set, they're so cute. I got a couple of books that are picture books, little graphic novels and literal, I don't know if this is a children's book or what, but books with more pictures than words, because I have had these on my radar for a while, and I also wanted some light books to break up some of the books that I'm going to be reading in the next couple of months. I plan on reading a bunch of like kind of thick books, heavy books. So I wanted something to relax my mind in between them. So I got 4 different books. First, the classic Heartstopper. I have not read this, and obviously I need to. I mean, it's everywhere. And so got this, got it from good old Target. Then I got Lore Olympus, also from Target, and this one I've been wanting to read for so long. I just really like the like art in here, the colors. It just, I don't know, I really like it. Then I did not know this book would be so gigantic, which is why I was like, is this a children's book? Because it looks like something you would read at like a library story hour. And that is the Tea Dragons Society. This thing is massive. Like, I thought Lore Olympus was big. It looks so tiny compared to it. Or like Heartstopper, like classically big but tiny compared to this giant book. But I found out about this somewhere a while ago, like a year ago, and I just thought that is so pretty and nice and I want it. So I got it, and I thought it would be a perfect little, cute little read for spring. It just like feels so springy. And on the back it says the perfect size to read with a cup of tea, and I was like, that's so true. Last book is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And yeah, this is, I feel like, a book that has been talked about a lot. It's literally just pictures with a few little words. And yeah, it's like a children's book, but also it's like you can read this at any age, one of those books. Nice little cute little picture book to read in between my giant books. So yeah, I also haven't really delved into the graphic novel kind of world, so I thought now is the time. That is my massive haul. That felt like a lot to me. Like, I don't know, like seeing them sit there, I was like, that's a lot of books, but I didn't like really realize it until I've been filming for an hour and realized, oh yeah, It's a lot of books. So we're gonna count them up now and see just like how many there are. Okay, success. There are 29 books, not counting the Jane Austen collection and Cain's Jawbone, because one of those books I'm like not, I don't know, actually counting as a book. Cain's Jawbone, I'm counting that as a puzzle. And then these ones, I've already counted them on my TBR, the books from Jane Austen that I haven't read, so I'm not counting that. And so in total there's 29, and some of which I have already read, so probably like 25 new books added to my TBR, and I've already read 38 books this year. So when you put it into that perspective, this haul was not too bad. That's the video. Let me know if you recommend any of these books, if you think I should read them, let me know. And yeah, thank you so very much if you've stuck around this far, because this is going to be a very long video unless somehow I magically edit it down to a tiny little crisp 30 minutes. Yeah, thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your day. And my cat has been staring at me this entire video, like I feel like he's like a director and he's like telling me what to do. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.